Welcome back, everybody. This is Mike with Black Galleries. I'm on part 3 of our photo tour of the Casino Legends Hall of Fame. I hope my video is working out. I've not used this particular photo setup before, but I'm hoping that you guys can see everything and it's clear. So, when we left off before, we were in the storage garage. So that most of the collection was in 2 different places. It was either in Steve's home, and he has a huge house, so there's all over. And then he, for 30 years, had a climate-controlled, very, very large storage facility that he stored a lot of the memorabilia. So some of the photos that you're going to see are basically in the storage facility. Now, one of the things we have not had a chance to look at, but I know there's just a ton of value there, is that the boxing memorabilia is insane. There are fights, there's signed boxing gloves, there's signed boxing shorts, there's hundreds of photos signed, there's UFC stuff. This is all early. We have not had a chance to even open up the folders and look at it. It's just on our list to do. But when we were going through, these were all entire fights and all the items that went with it, the promotional information, the promotional apparel, in many cases, the signed gloves, the shorts, letters, documents. It was just, I don't know how they actually got that part of the collection, but it's insane. There's just all of these different boxes just full of boxing memorabilia. He did this video. These are costumes. We have Cher's costume. There's an Elvis shirt in there. These are famous actors or performers from Las Vegas, where we have a lot of their costumes. So, yuck. I don't know about that. Tempest Storm, or those kind of. It was definitely different. MGM golf clubs. I mean, old casino games, toys. Let's call it clucking something or another. But vintage stuff. This was an interesting one. This was an actual company called O'Neill. They manufactured the actual dice and cards. We got all the dies for hundreds of casinos, the metal dies that actually were used to create their logos and insignias. I mean, what are those worth? A lot of those are out of business. All their invoices, all their paperwork from the early 70s. What's so cool about this is that because it was a regulated environment, the owners of those casinos had to sign personally for those deliveries of those materials. So we have a lot of signatures on a lot of these corporate documents. There's just a huge amount of menus. This is something from Frank Sinatra. I didn't even look at this one, but this is just a book. And this was from when Frank Sinatra actually owned a casino. I think he owned Calneva for a while. And he didn't own it long because of his affiliation apparently with the nefarious part of society, but there's apparently none of these exist. These are one of a kind. These are just, again, like I said in previous videos, we just open up an album and it would just be full of photos. And these are, a lot of them just, they might have been promotional photos, or they might have been photo shoots, where they were never actually using the images. Here's clearly a signed Elvis Presley photo from the museum. Again, don't know the context or year, but he looks a little younger. Another Elvis Presley signed photo. You get a lot of this stuff. These original photos. These are actually on photo paper. These are not reproductions. These are actually, photos. Some of the Elvis stuff has sold, even just posters, for thousands of dollars at in heritage auctions. This is, look at it. This is a comeback tour. These are just photos that were taken by the local photographers. And again, these may or may not have ever been released at all. They might have just been negatives. They produced the negatives, and then we own the negatives. So I don't know like how many of these were, how many of these survived, how many of these things have been known, been seen. I don't know. Then you have letters. A letter in 1975. Again, haven't read these at this point, but it's just the trove of history here. And I'm going to tell you, there's probably 20 like entire boxes full of Elvis stuff. It's crazy. And I mean, a lot of them are signed. And just giving an example of just some of the old publications of the 1950s or 60s. I think this might be Jubilee even. This is, yeah, there's a lot of that stuff, you know, a lot of that stuff. Let's just see. These are, you know, showgirls. Again, now the photos, half of these people, like here's a Cher signed album. There's actually 4 of them, and then they have her jacket with it. We've got the Eldorado, a whole bunch of like commemorative Eldorado stuff, which is a really, you know, the Mint 400, kind of a famous thing in Vegas. Again, we have the ashtrays and awards. You know, Steve going through just this plethora of silver dice, bobbleheads, you know, you name it. This thing had it. I mean, it's a classier version of a hoarder, but like this is a vintage set of cards. They're in the pack, still in the plastic from the Gold Nugget. You know, old decanters. You know, this is Stratosphere, these old, these glass pieces that would have been in the gift shop. Old clocks. These are a lot of the items were given to VIPs, right? Or they're given to high rollers as gifts. This is one of the original photos that's owned by the museum. They were obviously, you know, creating a boulder chip commemorative piece. Just a great photo, something great to put in your house. We have several of those. Just these commemorative sets that are just complete part of Las Vegas history. This is the old, you know, like the old, what do they call those things? Bow ties, right? And everything in the museum was there for a reason. It wasn't just, you know, it wasn't done indiscriminately. It was done for a reason. Like these are security badges, right? For security people. Here we got another one. It's, man, again, more security stuff. And he had a pretty extensive, I think, badge collection for security. But I don't think he has that. These are kind of what he's got left. Sam Boyd's Fremont. But these are really, really pieces of history. Like that's the old MGM. This is a really great piece. We've previewed this in another video. This is actually the dealer's apron from the 1940s, from the El Rancho, the Pixie Sticks, the matchbook, postcard. But we also have other things too. We've got like the menu, the glassware, the china. We've got all of it. You know, matchbooks, just tons of them. This is a whole set from like the Thunderbird, like it's still in the box. I know we have like from the Dunes in the 70s, like the entire boxes of the shoehorns that would go in hotel rooms. They were never opened. So we have those, which are really, really cool. Probably haven't brought this up, but we have, you know, there's 260,000 postcards, which a lot of them are really rare. You know, they're like on the original photo paper. Haven't really dove into those, but that's gonna be a great opportunity for other resellers, because it's just, you know, something that we just don't want to like probably deal with. So we're gonna group those together and do a lot of wholesale lots and that kind of stuff. This is cool. This is an actual full. We have 2 full sheets of Dunes playing cards, uncut. It's pretty neat. And these are some of the chips that I've outlined in other videos. This is from the construction of the Bellagio site. These are actual chips from the dunes from the 1961 that are embedded actually in the concrete, and they were excavated. It's the MGM fire in the 80s where I think 28 people died, or more than that probably. What's rare about them is, unlike the El Rancho, like this stuff was a literal crime scene. I mean, the fact that these chips even got out is crazy. We don't have many of them. We've got, I think, 6 of them. We've got apparel, unbelievable vintage clothing that was preserved and kept, and a lot of jackets, t-shirts, hats. And if any of you follow, vintage clothing, some of this vintage clothing could probably be the most valuable stuff we have, because the people that wore it, like we have Wayne Newton's jumpsuit. These are all just original jackets. They've never been unpacked. Like this is a dealer's uniform from the 1960s, just still in the original boxes. Jackets in the original bags, just to give you some comparables, these are just some of the heritage comps that I pulled for some of the chips that sold over the last few years. Some of the memorabilia that has sold related to gambling and Vegas, 10, 11, 12, 13,000. We have chips that are more valuable than some of these. We have documents that are more valuable than these. So it's going to be a curation piece to try to I know we have that chip. There's just a lot of these that we have that are one of a kind, that nobody's, like this Elvis poster for $5,700. I know we've got several of those. That Dunes chip we have a lot of this stuff. So again, just some comps just to kind of give people a perspective of value. Again, we just had to start somewhere. We had to look at stuff and try to figure out, hey, what do we have? We have a signed pair of Muhammad Ali fight shorts. And we know that some of those have sold for, over $10,000. And I know we have several. I mean, I know we have one of Muhammad Ali. I don't know if we have several. I know we have this chip. So, just to kind of give you an idea, these are just some of the photos as we're kind of going through, just different parts of the collection. These are some of the videos that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to publish on YouTube. And so these are more video stuff that you're going to see. You can see the video marks on the bottom. But I think this is going to be probably a good time to end this section. There are, again, some other parts of this that we'll probably want to look at. I'm just going to take a look and see if there's some of the photos. Like, there were so many chips, you guys. It was mind-bending how many chips there were. Yeah, then we started opening photo books. This was insane how many photo books. Like, these are all original photos owned by the museum. These are original, actual photos. These are not reproductions. These are actually on photo paper. And we have the negatives, so it's crazy. Like, look at some of these photos. I mean, you've never seen this stuff. It's just unreal. Again, I don't even know, and some of the performers and whatnot that you see, look at that picture. It's got to be from the 40s, the 50s. I always found it really interesting. They had no seating. People did not sit anywhere. They all stood. It was one of the interesting things. I wonder when they started adding seats to casinos. A lot of stuff from the Rat Pack, Ocean's 11. Got a lot of that stuff. You got a lot of marquees with Frank Sinatra, Count Basie, original photos of the Sahara. Sorry, I'm photo editing this stuff. Here we've got the Riviera. These are the original properties on the Strip, and these are the original photos. Thunderbird, Dunes, and remember they built the tower after this, and then they imploded that on live TV. This is a picture of the Strip early, right? The Thunderbird. You can see El Rancho back here. This doesn't exist anymore. You got the Mirage and the Bellagio, and just this stuff's all gone. Just a part of Vegas history that's just gone. But we have it because we have it in photo. We have it actually in these beautiful photos that survive. And again, a lot of these photos are signed on the back. We just haven't opened them up and looked. Let's see, this teddy bears. That might be the International. Yeah, there you go. Excalibur when it opened up. Look at the friggin' car. It is that like 80s, that thing is really worn nowadays. What I find amazing is some of the photos in here were all taken by the people. They weren't professional photos. They were they're just actual people's photos. Just real time, day-to-day life. I was, as a historian, really like that stuff. Like what was it actually just like to be there? Normal, not, celebrity, but just like rolling into the Ponderosa in 1961, in your El Rancho, you're like, remember those things? Remember they used to have the seats in the back where the kids could die when they were rear-ended? Yeah, no safety belts, baby. You look at this. Oh, ladies, here you go. You got a Tropicana, beauty contests. Wayne Newton. Oh my God, we have so much Wayne Newton stuff. It'll make your head spin. Look at binders full of Wayne Newton. Like, if you like Wayne Newton, if you thought about Wayne Newton, or you watched Vegas Vacation, you'll love this thing. Early pictures of him signed. Like, I think we own like his music rights. I think there's some music rights we own of his. I hope it's Dunkashade because I'm hoping to get paid. But yeah, look at this. Just contracts, movie scripts, Liberace, a whole bunch of Liberace stuff too. Stardust. Wayne Newton. Who is this? I remember a famous actor with Riviera. These are some of the pictures. Again, like Gail, people that were so famous when I was a kid, and now you can't even remember their names. You know what I mean? It's so funny how pop culture works that way, right? To survive pop culture and be remembered is something else. These are all materials that came from the casinos. These were promotional items. I mean, these might be the only ones to ever exist. This is the Copa Room, famous. This is in pristine condition, unbelievable. Just the number of programs we pulled out that were literally brand new, and these were published in the 40s. Just unreal. Look at this. It's insane. Relax in the splendor of air-conditioned room. That was the big thing. Air conditioning, it was a big deal. I remember my aunt and uncle moved to Phoenix after the war, World War II, and big reason they could live there is because they had air conditioning, We don't think about that today. The dunes. Look at that fold out. How insane is that? The Apache Hotel. Look at this. That would not pass today's woke culture right there. That would just be completely banned immediately. Completely banned. So how many of these survive, by the way? Building the Boulder Dam. I've never seen it before, but it was a promo from the Apache Hotel, which is one of the first casinos, right? And I don't know if I have a date on there or not, but I am thinking... I love it when you look at the address and there's no zip code. It's like Jim Stewart, St. Louis, Missouri. Okay, they just know where Jim lives. Just so crazy how intimate our society was. How small we were, Look at this. And some of the postcards have writing on them, which is amazing. Some of the messages that you read. Just the subtlety of we got our ass handed to us, it was always fun. This is the Sands, teaching you about the casino, teaching you how to gamble. This was new and different. Look at this. Very, very Art Deco-y, really, really avant-garde. Flamingo. Look at this. You're talking Bugsy Siegel days here. This is Bugsy Siegel days. You know, think about that. Movie Bugsy with what's his name in there. I mean, this is it. These are the actual documents. This is the actual stuff. What is this? This is Las Vegas floor shows. Yeah, so like these are just like the backstage stuff. The Riviera. Look at that. You've got definitely 1960s. Actually 50s probably. Look at that. Probably 1961. You know, I think Riviera was built in 59, 60. I think 60. So here's El Rancho. Like, I can assure everybody watching this video, you will never find this brochure. It does not exist. That's the only one. Strike It Rich, Frontier. I mean, you read through some of the stuff, like how they're instructing you, like how, I don't want to call it cute, but it's almost like society was so basic, you know, they were like, I don't know, they were almost really innocent compared to where we live now on Crazy Street. But, you know, facts about the Hotel Frontier, and to strike it rich in fun, you know, not in cash, because we're going to take your money. Here's an international passport. We actually have a passport, an actual physical passport from one of the performers, the guy from Brazil, I can't remember, Sonori, something like that. But yeah, like we have his actual passport, which is kind of cool. Look at this. International Hotel. I mean, that just would never fly today. Look at this. That would never fly, Mr. Madman. Look at the lady lighting the cigar, the cigarette, playing craps, roulette. Oh yes, we're gonna have such a good time at the Showboat. Here, look at the Showboat. Look at this, a special vacation plan, all-inclusive vacation bonus for $16 a day. You pay no extras. What do you get? You get a breakfast for two. You, what else? Bill Moore says, for 15 years in Las Vegas, I dreamed of being able, after millionaires vacations that no, yeah, it's just crazy. Look at that, Bill Moore's Hotel, Showboat. Crazy. Jack Benny, I mean, you know, kind of crazy. Like, this is a picture that you've never seen because we own it. So these are some of the performer photos. Look at this, the Sahara. Just look at that time capsule. Look at Tony Bennett signed. I remember this guy as a kid. Don't remember who he is, but I remember that. She creeped me out. I was having nightmares about that puppet. The bad guy, I can't remember him. Mel Torme, Rodney Dangerfield. Look at that. And again, a lot of these are just signed on the back. So we haven't had a chance to start looking at them. These are gaming licenses. It's just hundreds, if not thousands, of gaming licenses. Like, this is the gaming license. And what's cool about it, you're going to have a signature of a political person and probably the owner of the casino. So a lot of signatures. The corporate document collection here is insane. It's absolutely insane. Like, this is the gaming. This is Johnny Duncan's Whitney Bar for $150 in 1951. Crazy. Here's another one. It's a coin-operated amusement devices, 1941. So, I mean, just the sheer number of licenses are insane. And you notice the years, 1942, 1943. So somebody must have collected the licenses as a huge collection, and then the museum acquired it, because there's just no way that, I mean, I've never even seen these come up. I've seen a few of the El Rancho checks sell on eBay. I mean, and they're not even to like really famous people for quite a bit. But, you know, these are all the prestigious premier stuff. Again, these are prototypes that were made, casino collectibles. These are some of the books, the programs. Again, there are binders and binders and binders full of promos. Bygone era. You know, we're just looking at some of the ones that just basic ones that are not even nearly as nice as the stuff we have. Like just half a page of Thunderbird promotions that, you know, may have only run for 6 months. You know, how did those even survive? So Danny Gans, deceased. We have his opening show tickets. Rent. A lot of these shows. We have the tickets. We've got photos. Here's a picture, really cool. This is Steve, and this is his wife, and many years ago. And it looks like we've got, one of the poker players, Minion or somebody. These are some of Eat Robbie Knievel, Evel Knievel's son. So this is Patty Page. So what I said, we have these coming. These are the big plaques, and they're huge. Telegrams from mobsters. The famous Fabulous Las Vegas is insane. 51 issues with Vegas Vic, Las Vegas Vic. Don't exist. We can't find them anywhere. Anywhere. Not even historical records of them. And they're all in mint condition. They're all completely perfect. Desert Inn, Country Club. These are letters. Jack Cortez, personal letters from Liberace to his mom, photos that were taken, there's Sinatra and a bunch of buddies. We have stuff from the presidents, like Truman and Ford and Nixon. Jack Cortez, that was the founder of the Fabulous Las Vegas magazine. He was so influential, people don't even realize he was the guy that kind of had the beat on on 1950. That was Truman, okay? So, this is an invite. Broiled mushroom. I mean, I just love looking at these menus. This is crazy. What would you eat at the White House in 1950? 75 years ago, guys. This is stationery, raw stationery, perfect condition. It's you could write on it today. What is this one? This is kind of cool. Yeah, here we've got something from World War II. A lot of these gaming cards, Keno cards. Look at these letters. I mean, these are just you just open boxes. I think there was from one from, I think it was from not Greta Garbo, but it was from one of the darling, not Marilyn Monroe, but Greta Garbo or something. And it was just a personal letter. It was a personal letter back in 1949. I mean, this is really an era, think about Bugsy Siegel, think about being in LA. These are the entertainers. This is all their early stuff. Postcards, just, crazy. So I'm just giving you kind of an overview. These were literally there's 100 folders, you pull 2 of them out and you start looking through it. And this is what you're finding. I mean, this is just spot stuff. Perry Como, everything seems to be signed, there was Jay Leno, some really early Jay Leno stuff. He looked like he was 20 years old. Early performance stuff, just letter after letter, photo after letter after promo. Look at this. Every one of these is signed. This is a guy's, this is Jack Cortez's kid and his birth certificate, and then he committed suicide. It's really dark. This is weird. I never saw this. I bet a lot of people didn't even know this. Shah indicted in JFK plot. Who knew that? Know anything about the guy? Tony Orlando, he was famous in the 70s, the bad guy. Gary, I remember this guy. This was Puppet Guy, Lester. But look at this. This is just one little folder that I opened up, and every single thing in here was just signed. It wasn't just signed. A lot of it was personal messages. And a lot of these people, who knows who they are? No, that looks like, God dang it. That looks like, what's her name? Joan Jett or I can't remember. George Wall. It's insane. I could just, literally, we could go on for hours and hours. I remember this lady she was in a lot of movies. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the actor, look at this. Bam. Remember him from he was in some sci-fi stuff in the 70s. Oak Ridge Boys. I mean, I remember this stuff when I was 6 years old. you have to remember, I'm over a half a century old. I'm 55 years old. And these people were when I was a little kid. So again, some of this stuff is never been seen before, ever, like ever. Because a lot of them are personal photos. Like, look at this is Magic Johnson. Political stuff. There's all kinds of menus. And again, it took him, we have the early Siegfried and Roy. Look at how young they look there. It took him 30 years to build the collection, right? You know, he's in his 70s. And he didn't stop either. I mean, he was adding to it. Look at that. That's a Liberace signature with the piano. You know, this Liberace. I mean, just White House correspondence. Tony Curtis. Oh, God. Yes, we have a lot of Bill Cosby stuff. Yes, we have menus. Milton Berle. Like, think about Milton Berle for some of you guys. El Rancho, just postcard stationery, like unused. Look at this. This is like also like so politically incorrect. It's not even funny. You know, think about that. And some, you know, these are checks. We have a lot of canceled checks and a lot of uncanceled checks. This is cool. Look at this. This is really neat. This is like, it's just like a how-to, like, it's just like about the casino, about the property. Reminds me of like Titanic stuff, you know? Look at Carol Burnett, famous lady. Who's famous actresses? Look at this, Liberace with the piano. This is a personal letter. I mean, the amount of Liberace stuff we have is insane. And it's like a lot of it's early. It's not late. It's not when he was pimping everything out. You know, it was like early, like when he was young. Records, you know, performance memorabilia, behind the scenes pictures. I remember this guy. I remember him being on a lot of, I can't remember his name. I should, but I don't. But yeah, he was really famous. Look at this. I like that sign. Look at that sign. Jack Cortez show. Wow, interesting. Like, how many people would have this photo? Nobody. Kentucky Colonels, Tropicana. And sometimes the letters have photos in with them, which is really interesting, like personal photos, you know? You know, here's in memoriam. Again, you open up these pages, look at on the original El Rancho stationery, 1958. Again, I got to read the letters. This is Joan Crawford. You guys all know who Joan Crawford is. Look at that, personal letter, 1960, Joan Crawford. Let's see what we got here. This is Christmas at Liberace's. It would be his mom and his boyfriend, I guess. Oh my God. The Orleans, the Riviera. Right when the welcome sign got built and they took a picture of it, we took a picture of it. I just wasn't probably alive. Flamingo. Yeah, I mean, so much of this, look at it, like there's Sinatra and some captured photo. Again, this is a photo that was taken by this particular reporter. There's Bugsy Siegel's, you know, toe. There is some Jackson 5 stuff in there too, which is cool. Dean Martin. I like this picture. This is a picture that I think we own. Look at that. This is Steve, and this is Mathilda. She was huge in Vegas. He did sell this, although I think we could recreate it. It's pretty neat. Sammy Davis Jr. I think Sinatra, Dean Martin, Howard Stern, don't know, Mandel, Milton Berle. Let's see what this is. Yeah, so we have a lot of the, these are a lot of the negatives because we don't use those anymore. But oh, look at this. Early Lance Burton. Look at that. This is Stomp. Probably the first show. Publicity photo. Not sure who that is. Oh, Tempest Storm. Yeah, like, I think Steve liked Tempest Storm for some reason. I don't know. He just like a lot. It's a ton of Tempest Storm stuff. You know, Jack Klugman. And I can't remember. Like, I don't know why he has so much Tempest Storm stuff, but that's Mickey Rourke. The Beatles. There are, this picture is so cool. I hope we own it because I'm going to put it on a t-shirt. Bob Hope. O.J. Simpson. Yep, you got it. We got a photo of him. Oh, photographs. There you go. Certificate of Authenticities. Got more poker chips. So basically, guys, this is sort of the end of the photo session. So I just wanted to wrap it up here. Again, these are just more kind of things that we found there. You know, this actually had Crown Royal liquor in it. It just kind of goes on and on and on and on. There's 500,000 items in the collection. The Last Frontier, 1955. And there's like records in there. There's just so much stuff. Again, I haven't looked at these photos because I've been